Hello, everyone. Welcome to another session of mobility. This is actually our last session for this season, but hopefully we'll see you all in the future. So Michelle here with you, and today we're going to be taking a look at sort of a full body mobility routine. I'm going to combine some static stretching, but we're going to be focusing a little bit more on that flow. So we'll take one stretch and sort of just gently move into the next one. So I'm looking forward to this. I need a good stretch. So hopefully you can watch this recording at home. And if you do, don't forget that activity code, which is mobility 59 for today if you do participate. All right, we're going to get started. And for equipment, you just need your mat. I would suggest, if you're finding that it's hard to get into some of the movements, a block, like a yoga block or a stack of books or a stool could be helpful, but we only need that for a couple movements and you might be fine without it. So I'll let you know when that comes. But otherwise, let's get started on our feet. Okay, so we're just going to start. And today we haven't done this. We're going to be focusing on just looking at our breath. And we're going to do a little check-in with that breath, okay? So we're going to start off with just our feet in a comfortable position, and we're just going to bring our attention to our breathing. So taking some deep breaths in and breathing out. And as we do this with our breath, try to see what part of your body's breathing first. Do you find that your belly starts to fill first, or is it your chest? Just bringing some attention, awareness to that breath. So let's try 3 more big deep breaths together. Going at your own pace. 1 more here. Very good. I already feel a little bit more grounded. Now we're going to be doing a little bit of a body scan. So we're going to start with just our feet, and we're just checking and seeing how they feel. So we're making sure they feel grounded and planted in the floor. You might want to shift side to side and just feeling grounded. Next, we're going to check in with our pelvis. So we might want to slightly turn that pelvis in. So just to show you from the side, slightly turn that pelvis in. So we're keeping a nice controlled core. And then we're bringing our attention to our stomach and our core. And, maybe we're doing a slight brace here, but just seeing how that feels. As we move up, we're checking our chest. Our chest is nice and proud, nice and tall. Our shoulders are down and back. Okay, how is our head sitting? Do we find that we're hunched forward? So just kind of resetting and being in tune with our physical being right now. Sometimes we're so busy with our everyday responsibilities that we forget to kind of check in to see how we're standing, how we're sitting, how we're moving. So just checking in. Are we unclenching that jaw, softening the face, and just adding a little bit more relaxation into our moment here before we start our mobility? Okay, so we did a little body scan. And you're checking in, seeing how you feel. We're going to start down with our ankles, okay? And we're just going to do a little bit of inversion and eversion. So what we're going to do is just shift side to side. And what we're doing here is just kind of rocking on the sides of our feet. So we're lifting up one side of the foot. And it's just a small motion. We're just trying to mobilize the ankles there, which we've done quite a bit of ankle work over the last couple weeks. But we're just kind of checking and seeing how that feels, making sure that we have, a balance of that weight that we're putting on our feet every day. So we're just kind of checking in, maybe what feels strong. Good. We're going to do the same thing, but we're going to go front and back. So we're going to lift those toes up. So we're just shifting that weight frontwards and backwards. You might use a little bit of balance here. And then next, we're going to try to bring both of those movements together. So we're going to come up, we're going to come to the side. It's almost like we're making a circle with our ankles. Okay, and it's just a small, gentle movement. Okay, take it where it needs to go for you. You can get a little bit of coordination in there, right? So we're just shifting that balance, shifting that awareness. and loosening up that ankle mobility. You might start to feel your calf get a little bit toasty there too, the bottom part of your leg. Good. All right. You can shake out those ankles. Maybe you want to crack your toes a bit. And then we're going to move to our wrist. Okay, so we're just going to loosen it up by doing some nice wrist circles here. And I'm just using the other hand to support. And making sure that we go both ways with that. This always feels a little bit cracky after typing on the keyboard all morning. So good little one that we can do at our desks or when we're seated. Loosen that up. You might feel a release into those forearms as well too. And we're just making that fist. I didn't mention that, but we're just making a little fist here. Good. Okay. Next up, we're going to be focusing on our neck. And we've done some neck work before, but we're going to do something a little different. We're going to do what's called a 4-point. Okay, so we're going to take a look up. We're going to diagonal down to the opposite side. We're going to look up that way and then bring it back. And we'll go the other way, but we're going to spend some time here just hitting all of those 4 points. Again, being in tune with that breath, just like we did at the beginning. Let's try one more. Good. You can shake it out. Maybe you want to look side to side. Good. And then we're shifting down into our shoulders here. So some nice big shoulder rolls as we do them here. Focus on bringing those shoulder blades together. That scapula retraction. We're opening that chest. Nice and proud. Good. Let's try the other way here too. Good. And then let's just take the arms in and out, opening up that chest, releasing it. Swinging the arms, just letting them float out. Good. All right. Next up, we're going to get some rotation in those shoulders. We're going to come up to those cactus arms we saw last week, I believe. And we're just going to come in and switch. Don't worry if you can't bring the hand all the way back. We're just building on that range. So wherever you're at, that's perfectly fine. We're just here to get a little bit of movement in. Hopefully we feel a little bit better and loose after this. Good. Let's try one more on each side. Good. Next up, we're going to take a wider stance here. Okay. And we're going to go into a hinge. So we really want to focus here. I'm going to straight at the side. We really want to focus on that wide stance that we're hinging from the hip. Okay. So we're going to feel a nice stretch into the hamstrings, and you can keep your arms crossed or you can bring them back. We basically just want to make sure that we keep that neutral spine. So when we're hinging, we're not rounding down, right? We want to keep it nice and neutral, that collarbone's lifted, and we're just waking up the back side. So let's try 10 here. And we're focusing on letting those glutes pick us back up, our butt. So as we come up, try to squeeze the glutes and come into that full hip extension at the top. Good. Then we're coming back to that center. Okay. So shake it out, warming up the back side. Next, what we're going to go into is a little bit of a flow. So we're going to come up, reach the hands up. We're going to bring one hand down to the side, and then we're going to bend. Okay, we're going to bring it back up, and go to the other side. So we're doing that nice big side bend, reaching up, stretching out that core in the front when we reach up, and then we're stretching out that QL joint in the side, the lats, as we come down into that bend. And seeing with each rep if we can get a little bit deeper into that bend. Breathing again, as always, with these movements. Let's try one more each side. Good. Shake it out. Okay, next up, we're going to come with our feet a little bit more narrow, and we are going to make our way down to the ground eventually, okay? So first up, and I'm going to show you from the side because that side angle is going to help cue this one. We're going to reach up, okay? We're going to dive forward and fold. Okay, when we get to the bottom there, you can have that slight bend in the knee, okay? You can have quite a bit of a bend in the knee, okay? And what we're doing is we're just walking those legs out. So we're just going to shift side to side, okay? You might have a slight round in your back here. We're just kind of feeling those hips moving side to side. If you have tight hamstrings like me, this one definitely feels a nice pull. If you have more flexibility in your hamstrings, feel free, you can straighten those legs out a little bit more. And what we're going to do here is just walk our hands to one side. So we're going to keep that leg that's further away straight, and we're going to keep the leg that we're twisting towards bent. Okay, so let's see if I can show you a little better of a view. Okay, so it's still a narrower stance. We're feeling that stretch in this leg, and then we're going to walk over and try the other one. So I'm bending this leg, I'm keeping this leg straight and getting that release there. Good. And then from there, we're just going to find that tabletop position, and we're going to try our elephant walk. So your feet might want to be a little bit more narrow for this, and we're just shifting side to side. Releasing the hamstrings there, really sinking in to one side at a time. Good. All right. Next, from this flat back position, we're going to come down into a squat, okay? And we're just going to hold that squat for a moment here. Okay. Loosening that up, trying to keep that chest a little bit more lifted and proud. This is where the yoga block might come in handy. If you find that getting into that squat's a little bit more challenging, you can have that block underneath your butt or a stack of books or whatever that works for you. Okay, next up, we're going to go into that cat-cow. So we're just going to loosen up that spine because we kept it pretty straight. So let's round that upper back, tucking the chin in, and then we're going to lift up to the ceiling, arching that back, opening the chest, and coming back. Good. Shaking that out. Very good. All right. From our cat and cow, we're going to go into a downward dog. So we're going to take those those toes and tuck them in. Okay. And what we're going to do here is just bring those hips back. So we want to sink that head in between our arms. Okay. We're lifting that pelvis to the ceiling. You can walk those heels down and up for a little bit more of a release. Okay, from here, we're going to take our left leg up to the ceiling, and we're just going to bring it right in between those two front legs, and you can drop that back knee, okay? And from here, you can come up into that lunge position. So from this lunge position, we're just going to spend some time keeping that tailbone tucked in so that we open up that hip. Okay, you can lunge into it. And then we're going to add that flow to this movement. So we're going to hold this lunge, and then we're going to sink back on that back heel, opening up that hamstring. Okay, so just keeping it fluid. You can go as fast or as slow as you like with this one. Feeling the release both in our hip on the one side, and on the left side, we're feeling that hamstring. Might feel some of that hip as well. Good. And then on our next one here, we're going to bring our hands back down to the ground on the inside of that leg. Okay. And what we're going to do here is take the arm that's closest to that knee, and we're going to open up and tuck it in. This stretch is also known as the world's greatest. So we're lifting that chest as we arc out to the side, scooping that hand underneath. So we're loosening that thoracic spine while also opening up those hips. Really fantastic stretch to get into. You can even keep that back knee lifted for a little bit more of a challenge. Okay, you get a little bit more of that hip to open up. Okay, let's walk that leg back in, and we'll try back into that downward dog. We're going to lift up. I'm going to center myself so I don't kick the table. We're going to lift up into that downward dog, and we're going to try the other side. So that right leg's going to come up. It's going to link through in between our hands. Back it up a bit. And we're going to come up into that lunge position. Okay, so again, just spending some time working out, getting into this movement first, opening up that hip. And when you're ready, we can lunge a little bit deeper, pushing that knee forward, coming back on that back foot, and opening up that hamstring. So we'll try a few of these here, again, going at your own pace. And then once you've done a few of those and you're feeling a little bit good in both the hamstrings and the hips, we're going to plant those hands on the inside again, keep that back knee up or down, and we're going to be lifting the hand that's closest to that knee and coming into that world's greatest. So we're letting that chest rise to the ceiling, or at least to the wall, scooping back underneath, opening up. Very good. Slowly walk that other foot back in, and we're going to come back into that squat position. And this time we're going to hold it for a little longer. We're really going to open up those hips, and feel free with this squat to move around. You can shift side to side. You can use those elbows to push your knees open to get a little bit more depth. You can even walk it, like get a little release and just kind of bring those knees. So just play around with this squat hold, okay? You might feel good just moving around with it to loosen them up. And you might feel good just hanging out in this deep squat. So you find, again, what feels good for you. We always want to honor our body, but challenge it as well. Good. Grab my paper down here. All right. From here, we're going to go into something that feels a little bit more challenging on our shoulders. So what we're going to do is bring our hands down, okay? And we're going to, I'll show you a side profile. We're going to come into a bridge. So what we're going to do is lift up. We're going to get a nice stretch into the front of the shoulders. And you can keep it by coming down and up, or you can hold. That's going to get a really nice opening into the front of the shoulders there. So again, you can stay here, holding that stretch, or give that little release by coming down. I feel this in my biceps too a little bit right now. Good. And slowly come back down to the ground. We're going to stay on our bum here too, but this time we're going to take our feet a little bit wider, and we're going to do some internal, external rotation of the hip. So what we're going to do is bring one knee in, one knee out, and then we're going to switch to the other side. So just slowly rotating, and we want to try to keep those hip bones on the ground. So we don't want to come like this and then come right up, because we're going to lose sort of that resistance that we get from our knees falling down to the side to really help challenge that internal and external rotation. So we want to keep those hips as much as we can onto the ground. And you want to pause at the bottom of each one here. Feel any part that feels a little sticky. Good. Okay. From there, we're going to expand that movement a little more, and we're going to come down into a 90-90. Okay. But as we do this, I'm going to just push my camera down a little bit more. Give me some more room. Perfect. Okay. So as we do our 90-90s, we're going to do this into our 90-90s. Then we're going to come up and switch over to the other side. So you can't see from the other side for me there, but we're going to just be shifting and really, again, continuing to work on that internal and external rotation. You can have your hands down if you'd like for some support as we do this, but we really want to end, okay? And then once we get comfortable with that movement, we're going to add a little bit of a stretch to it. So once we land in that 90-90, we're going to reach. Then we're going to come up, pivoting, and reaching. So we get a little deeper into the glutes there, a little deeper into our hip rotation, and stretching. You might notice as you get comfortable with this movement, you might want to add a little bit more to it and add some hip extension. So you can come up, right up, and slowly lower back down, up, bringing that hip into that full extension, lightly sitting down, rotating. Good. I'm moving around a little bit on the room there too. So you can play around with that. But hopefully your hips feel a little bit better. Okay. So from there, we're going to go into a child's pose. We're going to just come to our knees. We're going to keep our feet together, our knees a little bit wider here, and we're going to sink those hips back. Okay. We're going to reach the hands overhead and get a stretch into those lats. And what we're going to do here is just slowly walk one side over. So keeping the hips where they are, we're just going to bring our hands to one side, really getting into that lat. And then we're going to walk it over to the other side and try the other lat there. Very good. Next up, we're going to push those knees back, and we're going to slowly lower down onto the ground. Okay. From here, we're going to go into a Cobra. So all these fancy yoga terms, okay, just follow along. So you can either come up onto your forearms, or if you'd like a little bit more, you can come down and lift up from your hands, getting that nice release into the lower back. The goal here is, again, to focus on that breath. And as you breathe out, see if your back can sink a little bit deeper into the ground. We're also stretching the front of the core here. So again, picking that position for me, this feels good for me today. I'm going to hang out here. Good. Nice, slow, deep breaths, adding some relaxation into our day. All right. From here, we're going to stay on our stomach and we're going to stretch out our quads. So I'm just going to use my forearm to rest my forehead on. I'm going to grab one foot. And the goal here is to try to squeeze your glutes a bit so that you really open up that front hip and get a deeper stretch into that quad. You can maybe even lift up a bit, lift that back knee up. Dropping that foot down and moving on to the other side here. Good, and slowly bringing that down. And let's push up from our hands, pushing the hips back. And we're just gonna swing the legs to the side and come on down. Okay, from here, we're gonna sit on our butt and we're gonna extend one leg and just cross over that other leg on the other side. And we're gonna hug that knee in, okay? What you can do here to make this a little deeper, you should feel this stretch into our glutes, a little bit into our IT band. You can take that back hand and prop yourself up. Okay, adding a little bit more of that rotation. We're gonna do a nice long hold here, releasing the glutes. The closer you bring that heel towards you, the more of a stretch you're gonna feel. And let's extend that leg. Take the other leg and bring it to the side. Same thing, hugging that knee, using that back arm to prop ourselves up. And then we're going to open up a little bit more of the adductors to the inside of the thighs. We're going to bring our feet together. And the goal here is to try to keep that chest lifted, nice neutral spine. We don't want to round in this one. We want to lift so that we really feel the pull from right by our hip, okay? And you can even pedal your knees out, flap them out so that you can kind of ease into this stretch a little more, right? You can also sit on a block for this one. If you're finding that it's really hard to keep your knees out, you can sit on a block. That elevation will allow them to open up a little bit more. I know some people can come all the way down with this one. Taking that out. Good. Right. We're going to end with a little spinal rotation, a nice long hold here for our T-spine, our thoracic spine. So we're going to start on our side. My favorite one, I figured, why don't we end off with one of the best ones, right? So our 12 sessions together has flown by. We're going to stack our knees here. I think we've seen them in this movement probably in half of them, but we're going to just keep this one fluid. So we're going to reach in, really reaching that upper back. And then we're slowly just dragging that hand across our body and opening up that chest. We haven't done a lot of chest opening, so this will be a great way to finish it off, not only for our chest, our shoulders, but also a big piece of that is our thoracic spine, our back. Good. We'll bring our knees back up to center. We'll give it a little hug here, go in some circles, and then we'll hit the other side. Okay, so you can move side to side, front and back. Good. We're going to drop those knees gently to the other side, stacking our hands and sliding that arm across our body. Trying to get that upper back as flat as we can to the ground. And holding. Okay, good. All right, when you're ready, bring those knees back up to center and curl yourself up. Let's end with a nice big deep breath in. So just like we started with, those big cleansing deep breaths. So reaching up, letting it out. Try one more big deep breath together. Let those hands float down to the side. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure to meet with you all on Tuesdays for some mobility time. I'll miss you in the meantime, but hopefully we'll stay connected in the near future and maybe get some stuff in person. So stay wonderful, stay safe, stay healthy and happy, and enjoy the summer and this beautiful sunshine that we've been having. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you soon.